Welcome to Client Heartbeat Monday, something to look forward to on a Monday. Today we're going to be talking about the metric of promptness and how that relates to what we've been talking about in previous Client Heartbeat Mondays, which were the key industry average benchmarks across the 4 key areas of customer satisfaction that we're monitoring, which is promptness, accuracy, partnership, and advice. Today we're obviously going to be talking specifically about response times and what the industry average, what the best-in-class performers, and also what they're doing differently, which we believe is resulting in them for getting these higher levels of satisfaction. To give you a slight bit of a recap, obviously the product that we've developed is Client Heartbeat, and that allows you to regularly survey your customers with a key standardized set of questions. The thing that makes it unique is we're obviously benchmarking your results against other MSPs, and so far we've got over 100 MSPs using the product. And ultimately that's allowed us to kind of compile these benchmarks and this information that we're going to show you today. So just to summarize, we actually spoke about this last week, but in terms of the metric of promptness or response times, the industry average is currently sitting at about 8.0. And the best in class, which is the average of the top 15% of those performers, is actually sitting at 8.4. So you might look at that and actually think, well, there's actually not that much difference between 8.0 and 8.4. It's 0.4 of a point. But ultimately, what we've found is the people that are up above 8.4 are significantly more profitable and more successful, and they've got significantly higher levels in terms of client advocacy levels. So those people that would go out of their way to refer you. So taking incremental steps and getting to this level is significantly better for your business overall. Obviously, because we were monitoring the best-in-class performers, it gave us the opportunity to actually go back to them and ask them, hey, listen, what are you doing differently? And really what we've found is 4 key things that we believe these top performers are doing that may or may not be being done by the average performers within the industry. So the first thing that we found was that, generally speaking, these businesses that were top performers had the mindset that they would charge appropriately or charge more for their services. So there were a couple of instances where they charged significantly more, and there was a significant amount of instances where they were charging, marginally more. Like they weren't the average priced or the low priced MSPs. And it's kind of counterintuitive, but it actually makes sense. I've actually talked about it before, in posts that we've written on our blog and also in other Client Heartbeat Mondays. But obviously, if you're charging appropriately, you can resource really, really well, which ultimately in turn means that you could service customers a lot more quickly. So, charging more is imperative if you want to be able to respond faster and improve your response times or your promptness level. The second thing is there's a significant focus around SLA. So we all know what SLA is, but in these organizations, it seemed that it was ingrained into their procedures, it was ingrained into the management team, it was ingrained into the individual staff KPIs. They were all aligned in terms of ensuring that SLAs were a top priority. And that ultimately, we believe, made the difference in terms of producing an average result versus a best-in-class result. Thirdly, they'd incentivize performance. So in some instances it was anywhere from 15%, but I talked to a couple of people where it was 30-40% of an employee's pay on the service desk would be at risk, with an upside if they were able to perform better. And these would be based around things like SLA breaches and also number of tickets closed, but ultimately incentivizing the team to achieve the best result for the customer, to respond as quickly as possible. And so ultimately that was really interesting for us as well, that these kinds of top performing companies had implemented structures like this to align their businesses. Finally, the last thing is they implemented a tiered support structure. So in this situation, obviously having a level 1, level 2, and level 3 structure, it's actually the most efficient structure, not only from a cost perspective, but from a resourcing perspective. And so the organizations that had a very structured, well-defined service delivery model such as this, whereby they had more level 1s, slightly less level 2s, and even less level 3s, were delivering a more consistent result and also getting better performance in terms of the ability to respond promptly. So there you have it. Those were the 4 key takeaways that we took from having chats with best-in-class performers across the promptness metric. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to be going through the other 3 key metrics that we monitor. And thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you again next week.